Running a little bit late, but I am tattooing someone today. But I do want to talk about how I tattooed myself the other day. They were doing 2 kitsune masks. Pretty excited to do them. I think they're like on the inner bicep area. Currently 9:16. Probably get to the shop like at 9:30. But like when you think about tattoo shops normally, you kind of think they probably operate from like 12 to, I don't know, 10 p.m. But in this case with the shop that I'm apprenticing at, like my mentor Denise starts at like 9 a.m. and like finishes around like 4 or 5. They have like a completely opposite schedule of like what I was expecting. And I think if you've been following this channel, you know that I have like gremlin hours. So it's been like an adjustment, I would say. But I did want to talk about a little bit about tattooing myself the other day. This particular tattoo that I'm doing, I'm going to be putting on my mom too. So we're going to get matching tattoos. Essentially, I just wanted to mess up on myself first. It's like Halloween time. So I put this super cool thing in my windshield. Alright, I just wanted to go a little bit more into tattooing myself. Kind of want to talk about like how it went and like why I might tattoo myself. So this is actually the 3rd time I've tattooed myself, and for some context, I've been in a tattoo apprenticeship since this year. And each time I've tattooed myself, it's to like learn something. Whether it's like how my current technique feels on my skin or just generally like practicing a technique. And kind of like the mindset behind it is more like if someone's gonna trust me to tattoo them, I want to trust myself to tattoo myself first. And like my current like belief is that you can choose to tattoo yourself or not if you're a tattoo artist. But honestly, if you don't want to tattoo yourself, inflicting pain upon yourself, which I'll go into in a second, is not necessarily like ideal. But I will say personally, every time I've tattooed myself, I learned a lot, and then that makes me more confident with a client. So for me, that's like helped a lot. But in this particular case, this was the 3rd time I've tattooed myself, but this one was because, as I mentioned before, I'm tattooing it on my mom, and I just wanted to mess up on myself first. And while I've been doing a decent amount of lines on clients, I wanted to also practice like packing color a little bit more. So what better way to do it than on myself? Pretty much tattooing yourself is what you would expect. For those who don't have tattoos, tattoos hurt. There are worse pains out there, but they're still like uncomfortable. And anyone who says that like tattoos don't hurt is, in my opinion, kind of lying. And before I got this apprenticeship, I would just put headphones in, I wouldn't even talk to the artist, and I would just kind of zone out. For me, like that was like super manageable. But then tattooing yourself, it's like the complete opposite. You definitely have to be present, and you definitely have to be paying attention to everything you're doing, which makes sense. But that doesn't make it easy. So I found that when I tattoo myself, it kind of takes longer just because not only am I like focused on, let's say, pulling a really nice line, but I'm also worried about the pain that I'm about to put into my body. And I think everyone has different experiences. Some folks can just plop a needle down and like pull a line and not really worry about the pain. But for others like me, as soon as the needle goes in, I'm just like screaming at myself in my head to like pull it out. And there are definitely moments when I feel myself lift, but still in the skin, but it's not deep enough. And so that just ends up being more pain because I have to go over that line again. So I will say like tattooing yourself is not an ideal situation, but every time I've done it, I'm super glad that I have done it. It's like one of those things you don't want to do, but after it's done, you're glad you did it, which kind of sounds like any tattoo you would get really. And while the station was set up, I also ended up touching up another tattoo. But I also wanted to say that I'm glad I didn't tattoo myself before the apprenticeship. For me, I was like worried about messing up in terms of technique, but now that I've had the apprenticeship, I'm realizing that I definitely would have messed up with like cross-contamination hygienics. I've seen YouTube videos and things online of like how to set up and break down a station, but some of them, looking back, don't seem quite right. So I am glad I had some supervision, not only for like the technique standpoint, but like before that I had some training on like how not to get bacteria and stuff into your tattoo. But I figured I'd make a quick video about this considering I haven't made any tattoo content, but that's all I've been doing this last year. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more.